Hey guys, welcome to my live stream. Welcome to my Cactus live stream, February the 1st. Great to be back. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always meeting me here. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'm back. And today something happened. My water sprayer, it broke. So I brought it to complain. I don't want to show the label because it's actually not bad quality. This was a good water sprayer for many years. But at some point it gave up apparently. Hey, welcome to the stream. I have come to talk about the tragic loss of my water sprayer. Something happened. I think it broke. So now I've been trying to spray and yeah, the button doesn't work anymore. So I've been trying to repair older water sprayers that had already not been working. But I haven't really gotten far, so like yet. Maybe later. For now, I'm out of a water sprayer, and I brought water in a glass because I probably have to do a lot of watering today. And yeah, it's just instantly a problem. I have water sprayers, other ones in the house, spread out through the house, but they all have a purpose. One of them has like chemical fertilizer in it. The other one has organic fertilizer in it. And then I have one that has neem in it. And I don't want to mix, I don't want to start taking water sprayers that aren't intended for that purpose, I don't want to have neem on everything. For example, like if I reuse the water sprayer with the neem, I might have contaminations on the seedling when I'm spraying them. So now I'm trying to just get a water can that works to spray the seedlings. I need it daily, so I will try to come up with a solution today. Yeah, I wanted to compare organic and chemical fertilizer, and when I mix the can, then I can't really trust my data anymore. So we'll see. I will try to get that worked out today. And apart from that, welcome everyone to my stream. I'm back. I brought seedlings. This time we're not spraying them. We're bringing back the broken can of the channel, Miss Merkel. And I want to try watering the seedlings with that. But it's always a huge mess. So I instantly brought something to clean up afterwards. It's an old broken can, but it's the best I have right now. It's doing its best. And I want to use it later to fill up the water in the seedlings and in the sown out containers. So yeah, let's put something here. Then I don't have the biggest mess again. And I want to start opening the seedlings, checking out the seedlings from today. These are some other ones that I brought, different than the ones from yesterday. It's always possible that I accidentally bring one or two that I had the day before, but usually these are always like maybe I check them once in a week. So yeah, these color weird yellowish will be fertilized when they get out of the bag. But right now they are pretty small cactus seedlings. Let me see what the label says. Trying to get it out with a scissor. This is a hybrid by Uwe Kahle. Phi, just Fii. I'm not sure what kind of a hybrid it is, but I trust that it's great. Could be variegation with the discoloration. It's hard to tell at this stage. They are just very young. There's moss in the container. Moss always competing for space, always competing for nutrients. For now, it's not a huge problem, but you can, if you look closely, you can already see that it has overgrown a seedling down there. That seedling is not getting any light. So I will clean that up. Like I said, moss is really competing with the seedlings for that little space that's there, for the light that gets in the container. And while I was now looking around, I found another seedling that I didn't even see before. Tiny, barely visible, so I try to position it on the other end of the container. I want it to be a little bit, want to give it a chance, but it's already so small, it might not make it. Now would be a good time to spray with a water sprayer. But since my water sprayer broke here, I want to complain again. Can't push the button anymore, and I tried getting it out. I couldn't even get it out. I will see if I can maybe get this part opened up, but I'm worried about breaking it completely. So later today, it will be my mission to get a working water sprayer so I can water the seedlings again. Without a water sprayer, I can't do it. It's just necessary. It is so hard to water tiny seedlings like that with a can. You need to be very careful, and sometimes you just, when you're not thinking, you know, like when you're doing something on autopilot, sometimes you water and it washes out the seedlings from the container just because there's too much pressure from the water coming out of a can. Yeah, and I'm just cleaning up everything here, removing the moss that is surrounding the seedlings. That is not absolutely necessary, but I recommend you do it. It just saves you a lot of pain later on when you have a whole container full of it and you can't really like see the seedlings anymore. Here's also something below this here. There's some sort of a weed, lesion, I guess. It's what I call it. And if that's wrong, please let me know. Here's that thing. It looks like a miniature cabbage of some sort. Like firm, a little bit firmer. And yeah, they often come up in cactus with the cactus seedlings. I took that out too now, just because it is possible that thing sends out spores, whatever. I'm not sure what kind of a plant it is, so I treat it as potentially able to mess up my soil, mess up the soil of the seedlings. I transplanted, moved a few seedlings here and there, but that's okay. Let me just see. Somehow it's always pressing against the camera, like when I'm doing something. Okay. Yeah, apart from that, not much to do here. They could use fertilizer in case that discoloration is not genetic. I'm almost certainly it is genetically caused. So I will leave them in a little longer. There are just too many small ones that if I would take them out now, they could be in trouble. So giving them 2 more weeks to grow a little under a plant lamp, you know, they get a fair amount of light, and that gives them a little bit more time to grow. Not like not a lot, but it's a chance. Because if I take them out now, some of the seedlings might not take it very well. So I will leave it in the bag for now. The age of these are a good 2 months old cactus seedlings now. And they will have to stay in the bag for a week, 2, and then we'll decide what to do. I would love to start fertilizing them now, but the moment I fertilize them, I fertilize them in a bag with moss present, because it's still in there. You know, it's hard to scrape all of the moss completely without that little piece that comes back once you fertilize it. So this stays in there, no fertilizer for now, but the moment I take it out of the bag, it will get fertilizer. I hope that within the next couple of weeks, the seedlings will be a little bigger, and that allows me to take it out, fertilize, and then we'll see if the color change is permanent or not. Right? In my opinion, it is a variegation because it happens so early, like early first 2 weeks, I could already see that weird discoloration. I don't think that they would have had a nutrient deficiency that early. It happens, but probably not. So these, they look okay. Soil, relatively dry, but still some humidity in it. This is Lobivia winteriana crossed with Saarwellen. Yeah, relatively interesting hybrid cross between Lobivia and a somewhat columnar multi-hybrid between Trichocereus and Pseudolobivia. Could have a very unique kind of body, could be interesting, you know. So let's close this up again. They would also love to have the first dosage of fertilizer, but for now, it's safer to leave them like this another week or two, and then we will eventually take them out of the bag, and then I have to spray them. Like I said, my water sprayer broke. Now I have to, within a few hours, get another one working, because I need to spray the seedlings all day long. This is just a thing that you either have to turn off the heat completely, turn off the lamps completely, and or water them, and like a lot. So this here, these look good, nice spines. You can really, if you look closely, you can even see the spines. Very interesting kind of plant, and very interesting kind of hybrid cross. For now, everything's going great. I don't see a reason to take that out of the bag. When things are going so good, why bother to disturb it, to risk that you now kind of start a cycle where they might dehydrate a little? The longer I can keep them in the bag, the better. At least it's the least work. It causes the least amount of work. So here's some that are out of the bag, and this is one where some of the seedlings were variegated, really strong variegation in some of them. So taking them out of the bag is often a little bit stressful for them, a little bit more stressful than it is for the others. And so these need water now. I watered them earlier, and I will water them again. This time with the can, and very carefully. I will get that water sprayer working within the next hour after the stream. I just, at some point, that one sprayer that I have, there's no water coming out of the tube, like out of the spray thing. I try to remove, like where it's screwed on the water sprayer. But due to the Lyme disease problems that I have with the muscles, I didn't get it screwed off. It was so tight, it was screwed so tightly that I need to get something to get that thing off. Okay. These here have gotten fertilizer. They're doing great. Way too many seedlings in one container, but it's okay. For now, it will work. It gives me another 2 weeks or so until we might have to do something here. The moment you are fertilizing something like this, you need to start considering to single them out. They will get a little water now. Everything feels super dry here. Okay. Apart from that, they look good. They will get fertilizer again. So every couple of weeks. And then they will be big within like a month or two. Once you start fertilizing, they will grow much faster. And the fact that a lot of people don't have good growth rates also has to do with the fact that they often aren't fertilizing enough. It's just something that you need to do if you want to have perfectly healthy plants. There's when something is in a pot, So many things can happen with the soil. Most of the fertilizers, like the chemical fertilizers, a lot of them are just, they are working for a few weeks and then you need to start fertilizing again. And if you don't do that on a regular basis, of course they will grow slower. And sometimes you need to find the sweet spot in between, using fertilizer. You don't want to bloat them. You don't want to raise them too fast, too excessively, with too many nutrients at once. But you also can just not fertilize at all. You need to find that sweet spot in the middle somewhere, where you have very healthy seedlings that are resistant to a lot of outside factors, like this excessive sunlight, like colder temperatures, a little bit of humidity, that kind of stuff. Fungal infections is a huge word that is thrown around a lot. And with cactus seedlings, that really makes a difference, to have a healthy cactus seedling that gets everything, all the micronutrients. And again, the moment you are giving too much nitrogen, at one point you are getting fast growth, but at the cost of healthy cells, healthy cell growth. So try to find a good compromise in between. Fertilizer that I use is a little bit higher in K, and nitrogen and potassium, that is somewhere like, and phosphorus, it's somewhere a little bit reduced, not super low, but something like 7 or 8. So okay, let's continue. Yeah, one of the seedlings looks healthy. This is genetically unhealthy. Nothing we can do at this point will change it. There's not a lot we could do here. We could fertilize more. As discussed earlier, you would probably, you might burn some of the seedlings with the fertilizer. At this point, they are just not very resistant to a lot of things yet. Fertilizer being one of them. So you have to be very careful if you decide to fertilize them. And since some of them are already white, I see no potential that they will turn around and suddenly start growing healthy. That one seedling that is mostly green, that one doesn't even look normal. It looks like a round blob, and that could be could result in a cool body later, cool, interesting hybrid. For now, I'm not even sure if it will long-term survive, if I can long-term get it through. Okay, I will close it up again, but all the white seedlings that are in there, completely white, albino white, they might not make it. They are just a little bit less healthy, and at that age, it really makes the difference. In nature, something like this would not have a chance. The only reason a lot of the interesting mutants, like with skin discolorations and full variegation, the only reason these are around is because there are fans that like them and that propagate them. In nature, you don't see those completely white-looking albinos. They usually, even the ones that are whitish, completely almost look whitish, they are still somewhat able to produce a little chlorophyll, so not the 100% albino seedling or plant later on. So here, these are young seedlings, fresh out of the seed corn, looking healthy so far. Not seeing a lot of problems. I had to clean these up, I think, and I did it well. I have also seen that there are a few more cactus seedlings that are coming up everywhere in between. I apologize, I don't know what it is. This is from Flying Saucer. Sorry. This is from Flying Saucer Cantora Gelb. A very unique and good cross between two hybrids with very big flowers. So the seedlings here have a lot of potential, in regards to flowering with also with huge flowers, flowering early. This is a good hybrid, comes from a good mother. So I want to water the seedlings a little. Everything's a little too dry. You might not see it very well, but if you touch the soil, it feels very dry. So let's water that a little. One seedling is lying there, over here, and I need to get involved there. Here's I don't know what this is, but it looks like a piece of dried grass. I take that out. It was covering the seedlings. When something is covering the seedlings, I try to get involved. So now that seedling that was lying there, I am gently trying to reposition it, lifting it up. Seedlings that have good connection to the soil are much more likely to survive long term. So here's a little seedling that I want to inspect a little closer. It looks a little bit delayed, not healthy. So I try to correct the position, try to correct the bad connection to the soil. Okay. Apart from that, I saw that after we added water last time, there have been more germinations in this one. So that is a good sign when you are trying to induce germination and at some point you remove that from the heater. You don't want the tiny seedlings. Once you have them, you don't want them to get overheated. So yeah. The seed germinations come slowly after time sometimes. Hey, good morning. Great to have you, and I hope you have a great breakfast with your pancakes. Bon appetit. So yeah. Apart from that, these look good. I'm happy with it. Had to clean up a little last time. There were one or two seedlings that didn't make it. But apart from that, they can stay in that closed container in the bag for good months now, maybe longer. Ideally, I try to keep them in a bag for 2 or 3 months minimum. And that gets, sometimes you have to undercut that because something happens. There's so many different things that can happen when you're sowing out, and you just have to react to all of them. There's just not a 100% reliable plan that you can make. So you try to just look at what kind of problem comes your way and you try to solve it. So let's fix that that little swimming pool that I have here. And then I want to continue. There are a bunch more seedlings, like a few more containers, square pots. Here, seedlings in square pot, like in the square pot. Little bit too deep, but looking interesting, diverse group of seedlings with different types of growth. Some of them look monstrous, others look like completely normal. And these are the kind of crosses that I really like, because even in the normal seedlings, you can get like total variation, very different types of flower, very different body types. So let's continue growing them. And yeah, they look healthy. These have been growing pretty well. And I'm happy that we didn't lose those potentially mutated seedlings in the first weeks when I took them out of the bag. Like I said, they need to be sprayed on a regular basis if you decide to take them out of the bag. And that is basically what I'm doing all the time. Keeping cactus seedlings alive is not easy. I don't want to say it's hard, because once you have a working formula, you can replicate it. You can endlessly replicate it. Over here, a little bit too deep, planted slightly too deep. It takes away the light. Always filling up the pots is something that I try to do now, a lot more than earlier. Apart from that, seedlings look good. They have been getting fertilizer. It doesn't really show in the skin color yet. These are a little bit too much on the yellow side for my taste. So they will be fertilized like on the regular now, maybe every 2 weeks. And when I do that, I always spray them. Thank you. Yeah, they're really fun to handle at that age. They don't have the spiny, they are not so spiny yet, where it gets really difficult to repot. At this age, it's still fun. Later on, when they become increasingly spiny, then it's a whole different ball game. So yeah, these here also same thing that I said about the previous pot. Same thing applies here. A little bit too deep, and this gets worsened over time. The soil here wasn't so deep in the beginning, but when you start watering and watering and watering, the drainage holes at the bottom will always lose a little material, and everything sinks closer together. The different layers of soil, they get closer together once you start watering everything on a regular basis. So always filling up with soil is something that I want to do in the future again. I'm really trying to not forget it. So these little bit smallish. Some of them have barely been growing over the last couple of months. Some others are finally getting to the point where you can see them becoming a real seedling, real cactus seedling. But some of the others, I'm not convinced that all will make it here. They've been getting fertilizer. They are a little too dry, so I'm watering. Later today, I would spray them again once I have that problem sorted out with the water sprayer. If not, I would just continue watering them with the can. It's a little bit more work, but I just can't say I don't water them for a day. You can say that, but then it will instantly be visible in the body. These here were very difficult because they had a fungal infection, maybe damping off due to the classic the classic fungus gnat problems. So once I took these out, I had to find the middle ground between keeping the soil so dry that the fungus gnat problems and the damping off problems went away a little, but also water them enough so they make it, because they are really small. And yeah, I'm trying to walk that fine line here, and sometimes it is exactly that, walking a very fine line. Cactus seedlings need a lot of water, but they can easily get wet feet in the beginning, in the first 6 months maybe. If you get one additional problem, let's say like mealybug, those mealybugs would instantly cause these micro injuries that would then turn that being waterlogged, having wet roots for a while, it would instantly turn that setup into an infection, and that is something that you try to prevent, that you don't want to have. So drying everything out in between is a good thing. And they dry out within hours in that soil. So this is sowing soil in some of them. In others, it is cemetery soil, but they dry out within an hour or two, and that is okay. If you are using a mineral soil that is drying out within 20 minutes, then it might not be enough. Then it might not be able to hold enough water for the seedlings to actually take it in. They need some time, and you always have to keep in mind when you are building a medium for perfect drainage that little seedlings are different. They are just different than the larger cacti. In the beginning, cactus seedlings, they like a lot of water, and it's not always easy to find that perfect middle ground. That is something that you learn over time. But generally speaking, a lot of people don't water enough. Of course, you have these situations when you have excessive watering, overwatering, but it's just easy to underestimate how much water a cactus seedling needs in the beginning. So let's see. These here have been transplanted into sowing soil. They've been in another medium previously. Judging by the pieces of pumice that I see there, it was probably washed pumice. And they look okay. In view of the fact that they have been transplanted, that is okay. These have been transplanted because they were already stressed. They were in a medium that even dried out in humidity in a bag. I had those in the pumice, and it dried up way too fast. So now this is the second attempt to give them a better soil, a little bit more humidity, and now they continue to grow healthily. At the time when I transplanted them, they were not. I could see them losing substance, and that is something that is always a big warning for me, because that is the one stage that you have before you lose them. You see them losing substance, and at some point you have nothing left. Okay, in regards to the water, we can put in a little bit more water, just a little bit, just to stabilize the soil, to get that soil to sink in a little, because in here it's a little bit too fluffy. Having a solid connection to the soil, a solid stand, is really important for cactus seedlings. And in between, like when you're transplanting, you have to be careful that the soil is not too loose for them. That can also happen. The more I'm doing it, like with the cactus seedlings, growing from seeds, the more I realize that every seedling that you see doesn't have that perfect connection with soil. If you correct that, you will have much higher chances to get that plant to a large size compared to when you just leave it there. Sometimes cacti are pretty hardy. They can even come up when they are disadvantaged, when the seedling's a little bit crooked, sometimes even when they are lying on the soil. But like I said, in nature, you don't have that. You can really fight for every seedling. In nature, you have 10,000 seedlings for one adult plant that you need. So when you see a seedling being disadvantaged by whatever you see, correct it, and it will often result in that seedling. It can make the difference, sometimes. So here, very small seedlings, just they look freshly germinated, but one look at those and they look genetically delayed, genetically unhealthy a little. So these could have been like this for 2 months. Trying to get to the label, but it's somehow deep in the pot. Can't see the label right now. I would love to see when this was sown out. Long term, I will try to leave them in, let them grow, give them a chance to grow naturally, but eventually this isn't really going anywhere. You can see variegation, then you have that point when you have to graft them. We've discussed it. Hey mate, welcome to Australia. And thank you for the suggestion because of the potting mix. In which kind of setting do you recommend using it? Like for seedlings, I have never worked with soil for aloe seedlings and that kind of stuff. I usually work with classic sowing soil, very basic, trying to not overcomplicate things. But I'm sure you can work with so many different mediums. And yeah, greetings to Australia. I hope you had a great time. Okay, let's see. This is gone. Okay, let's see what this is. Here's a container that's full, like full. We need to start singling them out soon. For now, I will close it up again. But I want to take them out of the bag very soon. I might even do it now. These will get to a point when they press against the roof of, like, the walls of the square pot. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, but they are about to be taken out of the bag. This is very, very late. Like at that point, you can already get the first problems with seedlings. Pushing too hard, pressing, they are growing into all directions, and at some point the space will not be there. If you have them out of the bag, that's less of a problem than when you have it in a humidity bag. So a little bit of water maybe, because there are so many seedlings in there at once. Little bit of moss, but that will be history once we take them out. And these will be taken out within the next week or two. It's already on my, that I have decided I want to take them out eventually. Everything that gets crowded, I always consider that the seedling can burst when they are under pressure. Keep that in mind. And not just the seedlings, but also larger plants. Everything that's under pressure, where the pot is getting, like, the pot is out of space eventually. Okay, so here, this was just one seedling that was incredibly stressed, transplanted into sowing soil now, and it's still there. It looks like it is recovering. Growing spines, actually, not dehydrating like it was in the pumice. So that is okay. If I can get that one seedling to adulthood, that's okay. I don't need 1 million seedlings per cross. Sometimes that can really throw a wrench into your whole operation, because if you end up with a lot of seedlings of one type, that is totally bad. You have wasted so much space. Okay. In this one also, very young seedlings. Age-wise, hard to tell, but they look like they are maybe 2 weeks old. Maybe already a little bit older, because they look a little bit settled in the soil. They look okay. Not unhealthy, not growing fast, but also not unhealthy. The humidity of the soil is okay. It's a little bit wet, but not excessively wet. You don't want to have just water replacing all the oxygen in the bag and in the pot. Okay, next one. I'm really heartbroken about my water sprayer. I've had that water sprayer for years. I will try to open it up. Maybe I can see what is holding that button here. Maybe something is just slipped out, but this doesn't feel good. So, yeah, let's have a look at these. Oh, I have no idea. A question came in. What is a good potting mix for aloe? They are amazing plants, but I really don't grow them. If I were to grow them, I would grow them in a somewhat in something like sowing soil, you know, like in a medium, fast draining kind of mix maybe. But sowing soil, I would treat it a little bit similar to cactus seedlings. But again, I'm not growing them. It's just I had to, at some point, I had so little space that I had to focus on a few different plants where I had the most fun breeding with. And now what I'm growing here, it's all that's a certain kind of type of plant, you know, relatively cold hardy with big flowers, interesting flowers. But yeah, I would treat them with a pretty good all-round mix, like succulent kind of soil mix. And if in doubt, sowing soil should actually work more often than not. It might even be a too fast draining kind of soil once you take them out of humidity. So yeah, but let me know if you found something that is working. Let me know. I've had a few big plants like big aloe, and yeah, I couldn't keep them. It was just too much space, and I regretted that very much later. I also had a bunch of yucca, big agaves, and yeah, I regret letting go of them. At one point, I basically gifted them. I gifted them to some sort of an animal sanctuary, and that is the reason. You know, that's why I feel like it was good that I did it. These people were running some sort of a animal sanctuary, and I gave them a whole lot of cacti plants, big plants to put everywhere in between, like 2-meter tall plants and that kind of stuff, you know. And that's where my other plants, how I donated them. And since then, I'm mostly growing Echinopsis, Sorensia, Lobivia, Trichocereus, that kind of stuff. Everything that can take the cold winter, can take a little bit of humidity. It's a very unique climate, so I'm fairly specialized. Yeah, and apart from that, these are looking okay. Still too small to be taken out. But apart from that, would love to fertilize them. But the same thing that I said in the earlier was like, these are a little bit too small to already show malnutrition, like just from not being fertilized. So this could also be variegation. Okay, someone has suggested 70% normal or cactus soil and 30% of pumice and lava. And that is a good combination. You know, you could like grow with that. You only have to adapt your water management. You could even change the percentage. It would work. I'm fairly certain it would work. The more pumice, the more likely you can get into trouble with having too much drainage. Okay, yeah, a little bit of water here, just a little bit. Closing it up again. Want to fertilize, but for now, these are still too small. So I leave them in. Not seeing excessive weeds coming up. There was one of these little lesion kind of plants. But it was so tiny that I'm not bothering with it right now. I also had Haworthia. I had those two. I had a lot of everything. Like I once bought that huge collection of cacti. I don't know, 25 square meter greenhouse where really took over like 10,000 plants. I had so many, and eventually, you know, I had to make hard decisions, and a lot of them I regret until today, because today as a hybrid breeder, I would love to have more of these, maybe 1 or 2 large Ferocactus, you know, maybe a Leuchtenbergia, maybe, you know, that kind of interesting direction, a few Queen of the Nights, that kind of stuff, Harisia, interesting plants that I could use more today than back then. I had a lot of Oreocereus, large Oreocereus these hairy kind of columns. And today I would try to make crosses with them. But at the time, I didn't have a good greenhouse yet. I didn't have the chance to grow them the way they deserve to be grown. But yeah, that's how you do it in life. Sometimes you regret letting go of some plant, you know. It will always happen. No matter what you do, at some point you let go of plants and you will regret it later. It's just the decisions that you have to make in order to, when you have so many plants around, you always have new ones that are coming every year. So you have to sort out. And once you go back to look at old photos a few years later, you know, I constantly cringe when I see a plant that I could very well use today. But back at the time, I was too clueless to do it. You know, like when you're looking at old photos, that happened to me a lot. So you have to make these hard decisions all the time. Okay. So I want to water these here. These are looking good, by the way. Healthy seedlings. They have taken the fertilizer very well. You can really see how nicely they have reacted to being fertilized. So let's remove the lake, the little pond on my desk again. I really need my water sprayer back. This is not working. That water can is also not working the way I need it. I don't expect too much, but it's really leaking a lot. It's really leaking everywhere. Okay. Let's continue. Have I checked on those? I'm not sure. I don't think so. Let's open it. I'm not sure. Please tell me if I had opened that one already. I think not. So I think these are new. Nothing to do. I mean, here's a little moss, and I had removed moss here. And this is the beginning of the re-emergence of it. Moss coming back. Moss strikes back. Apart from that, seedlings look okay. This one, I just saw something that I believe to be a discoloration, but it was just a fiber from the soil. Sometimes the sowing soil has root bark fibers in it, like wood bark fibers, whatever. They add something to make it a little bit more resistant against being overgrown. And that was that. So no discoloration. Seedlings look healthy. I will close it up again. They are too deep. And that might have also been the reason that moss problem got out of hand in the first place. So I had to remove it. Yeah, apart from that, seedlings are a little bit too small to take them out. You could do it, especially with how deep they are in the pot, but it's not really necessary. Oh yeah, I have seen that Harisia kind of, that Uberti kind of cultivar with the pink flower. I've seen it a few years ago, like when it wasn't available, and someone wanted to send me one from China, but I had to say no, because I didn't want to have problems with customs, because they are really like a nuisance, you know, like customs agents, you know, like sometimes people want to make me a gift and send me a cactus, and the customs regulations are just different in every country, and you know, they are always the thieves of joy. So I didn't really want to import that pink Harisia back then, but it's a great flower. I like it. I really like Eriocerois, Harisia, Uberti. The way I understood it, it's a hybrid, probably a hybrid between Harisia and Echinopsis. And there have been problems to get anything other than white flowers from it for a very long time. And with that pink flower, It was at some point I was sure it would happen, you know, simply because I know how hybrid breeding works, and just because something fails very often, it doesn't mean that it can't be done. And in that case, the person who created that hybrid might have just used that Harisia Gilberti as father. If you use Gilberti as father, you might still have the Harisia body and a different kind of color. Maybe a red flowering mother and Harisia Gilberti as father, and then you could have gotten that kind of pinkish kind of variation, that not natural hybrid, that hybrid. Maybe they are self-fertile, something like that, or maybe I read something that they always bring out the same kind of Harisia offspring. Even if you pollinate them with Echinopsis, with different types of Echinopsis, you would always get Harisia white, Harisia Gilberti white. But again, over the years, it became obvious. It became obvious that all those generalizations, they don't really apply to hybrid breeding. Something can fail 100 times, and suddenly you just have the right mother plants together. Not all plants are the same. It could be that there is one cultivar, one common clone that is just genetically degraded to a point where you can't make hybrid crosses with it anymore. But even then, you might be able to find that one partner for it that would result in colorful flowers in the next generation. Just because it can't be done with one clone doesn't mean it can't be done with any one of them. Yeah, right now, like I'm just reading a comment that it's world problem with imports. It's really bad right now. Sending stuff to the United States, to my American friends, become very hard. DHL doesn't transport a lot of stuff anymore. And then you have customs, you have quarantine, all kinds of different regulations that are coming. These are the reasons why I went out of the seed business. Yeah, and it should usually flower. Harisia, they need to get a little bigger. I have some that I had for 5 years now, and they're like this size now, and they haven't flowered yet, but they will. They eventually will. You just need to give them enough space in the pots. They will take a while, but they catch up eventually. They're impressive. I really like Harisia Gilberti. It's a beautiful flower. I see a lot of potential with it. I will use that thing for hybrid breeding, but if it ever flowers, you know. I think I have 3 different plants now, and none of them has flowered yet. But when they do, I will use it. I will try to cross it with all kinds of columnar cacti, with all kinds of different, like the known hybrids, flying saucer maybe, Gräser, the classic big ones, pink stripes, and then we'll see. And if then all the offspring comes out white, then I might agree. I might, but even then, maybe not. You know, I'm just a guy. I want to test everything that they tell me, because I have very often been told something isn't possible, and then have I either done it myself or have I seen it being done by other breeders? Okay. So yeah, here, too deep down in the valley. Apart from that, they look okay. A little bit reddish, a little bit of overheating, stress. Not really overheating, but sun stress. Need to spray them more often, like always. It's the same that I always say when I take them out. You just have to fill up a lot of water. Just from the time in between the streams. Maybe there's a week between the times when I have a certain plant always on the stream, certain pot, certain seedlings, and within that time I had to water maybe 15-20 times. probably more. Watering is a big word. Water management is one of the absolute fundamental points of cactus growing, because all the problems have to do with water in some way. Even when you get fungal infections, they have to do with water, because the plant might not have been getting like misted on a regular basis, not having that healthy kind of skin humidity, the process of cleaning the seedlings with a sprayer, like rain would do in nature, or when you would have like morning dew collecting on the seedlings. So you can get fungal infection, but if you look closely, if you split it up in little mistakes over the previous weeks and months, you can often connect it to not watering enough, not spraying enough. Watering too much can also happen. It's rarer, in my opinion, but it can also happen. And very often when you give them too much water, what the actual problem is that you watered so much that you got yourself a nice healthy population of fungus gnats, and by continuously keeping it wet, you allow them to be an unwelcome guest, to be an unthankful guest, you know. So also a water problem. Okay, I'm watering them again. I really try to spray the seedlings a few times a day, and that is why you can have them under a lamp, under a plant lamp, and they still continue to grow. If you wouldn't do that, you would have to have them in a bag, or they would really dehydrate, sometimes to a point where they are just stressed, sometimes to a point where you lose seedlings, because you would never know how many seedlings you would have if you had grown a different way, because during every approach that you take, unforeseeable stuff happens. Okay, so this also watered. Most of the seedlings that are out of the bag are not a problem. You just have less problems with fungus gnat, less problems with fungal infections, less problems with, I don't know, just seedlings falling over, stability issues, that kind of stuff. So watering here, and later I need to spray, because right now, for example, in a pot like this, where you already have a little bit less soil, these are also a little bit deep, and then the soil, when it's dried out, it runs through very fast, sometimes faster than the seedlings can even take it in, and then it becomes dangerous. Then you have like a setup where the seedlings get smaller and smaller, and that's why I need to make sure when you are watering that after you watered, when the soil has been really, really dry, that the first watering might not be enough, that you have to water again, maybe 20 minutes later, once all the water has settled down. Here's a good example. This is the container that I just watered. And for one, the soil is still a brick, like a compact square brick. You can really see the holes here on the side. And just some parts of that thing have gotten water. Other parts are completely dry. So making sure that the seedlings get enough water through and through, like through the container, that is really important. And later I would spray them again. So next one. Oh, this is bad. This is getting to a point where it's getting too full, too crowded. Here's a group of seedlings. Check this out. This is just a ball. At some point, when you have too many seedlings in the pot, they form these seedling balls, and they continue to grow into all directions and lose contact with the soil. That is clearly a problem of having too many in too small of a space. So I will try to take them apart here, take these two apart, these two groups of seedlings, watering a little so I get the soil to to consistency, like a humidity where I can start to pot in seedlings again. Because when soil is dry, you can't do that. You would have to break the soil open, really. It isn't so easy. So watering repeatedly until everything has that kind of consistency where I can start to reposition the seedlings again. These little balls of seedling you really need to watch out for. Hey mate, welcome to the stream. Welcome, Robert. Great to have you. Hope you're all right. Hope you're having a good time. I'm just trying to fix some problems related to sowing out too many seeds. A problem created by nobody else than myself. Okay. These are getting to the point where I want to put them into separate pots very soon. I just need to order some more. They ran out. Something always runs out. I now have gotten new soil, but I still need new pots. It is a regular thing. These are the little kind of costs that always hit you when you have a little business, you know, when you're doing that kind of stuff, just to be able to do the hobby. And the costs have increased a lot. When I buy new square pots, I expect it to cost something like 60 euro. And the quality is worse than it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Definitely worse quality than we had before COVID. In my opinion, a lot of the square pots on the market got worse. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure. They got worse for more money. Just classic price gouging in so many industries. Okay. And it's usually price gouging at the highest level, you know, at the level of the people that run stuff like all the additives that you need to make them. Okay, what's this? This was a white fly. I don't like that. I really don't like that at all. That is really not good. White fly is a pest that I don't want to have inside. If we should have them, I would spray the seedlings instantly. So I got to be very careful. I brought seedlings into the house that I sprayed. Bigger seedlings, bigger cactus seedlings from the greenhouses. And I brought those in and sprayed them. But sometimes you don't get them all. So this is something that I really need to keep an eye out for. I will not have white fly in the house. They are one of the pests that I haven't had a lot, and I don't really want them. You know, it's not something where I want to make too many experiences with. So if I see them, I really go against them. All right. Yeah, I wanted to show you these again. These are starting to grow out of the pot, but still looking good, not really affected, not really looking like they are running out of space. It will happen, but not yet. These have been fertilized, and the body looks interesting. I'm not sure in which direction this goes, but I like them. Even reminds me a little of Telegonus hybrids. And this is and it could be, because that is a cross that I made between columnar cacti and a Telegonus hybrid at some point. This could be that one. I just see the number here, but it will be interesting to see them grow up. So here, also water. By the way, check out the color. I'm not sure if you can pick up on it in the video, in the stream, but they are sun stressed. This is sun stress, that reddish discoloration. If you can see it in the video, it's everywhere on a lot of seedlings. And that is a sign that they have been getting too little water. So watering more, if that gets worse and worse, you really need to, at some point, they will probably outgrow it if you keep watering, if you keep fertilizing. But if they continue, if it gets worse and worse, you can always put them back in a bag, let them recover, and then try again. It's not what I would want to do, because it would be a step back. These are already slowly acclimated to normal climate, normal room climate, but it's an option. You always have to know that if something happens and you do not have open wounds on the seedlings, you can always bring them back into a bag. If you have little holes in them, like slug bites or bites by fungus gnats, then you cannot keep them in humidity, because that would be that entry door for the infection that will be the end of the seedling. But if they are healthy, no wounds, then you can always put them back in humidity to undo a little stress, transitioning them into the classic air humidity, into the classic room temperature. Here, these were transplanted, and they are looking good. Finally, in the new soil. This was also one of the cases that needed to be transplanted. Okay, I need more water. My poor water sprayer, I will miss you. I'm not sure if I will get me one from the same manufacturer, but again, the manufacturer in this case wasn't the problem. This thing has worked for many years, has taken a lot of abuse, like when I forgot it outside in the rain, forgot to bring it in, like when it was little frosty, and frost can always break this kind of stuff. So no hard feelings that it finally gave up here. I will try to maybe fix that thing here, that that lever or whatever it is, but I don't think I will be able to repair it. I have given up already a little bit on it. It just feels like it's permanently damaged. So here, too many seedlings. Here the seedlings, this is a seedling ball that I always talk about. It's getting a seedling mountain. So at some point, these will have to be transplanted, singled out. Space is such a nice luxury to have, and I don't have it. But we will still do it somehow. I'm not sure. At some point, I might have to sort out seedlings, focus on the best ones, maybe donate a few others. Okay, so here also watered. Seedlings look good. Too many to keep them long, like in the bag for long. So it was good that these came out. The color is good. They don't look really stressed. They are doing well with the change so far. But also I need to water them more. I think these were dehydrated before, like in the very beginning. So always good to never completely feel like you have it in the bag, like it's safe. Because in my opinion, that moment becomes that moment where you kind of lose the seedlings. You feel like, yeah, they don't need to be reported now. I have so many. It can happen so fast. You have like, you lose them all. Just one bad, sometimes a very cold night, or a slug taking out all the seedlings at once. That has happened very often. So never feel too safe. These here look good. A few are a little bit discolored, discolorationing, like from the lamp, sun stress, but not so bad. But I'm really worried about that white fly that I saw. I think later I will spray those other seedlings again, just to be sure that I have them all sprayed. that no whitefly can find a way in. Okay, spraying the seedlings is also something that we will do if we have to, but I would rather not. You know, I would rather not start already. Spraying the seedlings definitely possible, but they are more sensitive, so the same concentration of a pesticide that is safe on a larger plant might be disastrous on a seedling, and that makes it so more difficult, so more dangerous. And I hope that it won't be necessary. Okay, if we get whitefly, we will nuke them from orbit. It will be really not good for them. I will not allow that because it's just, you have to think about the health of them all. And if you lose a few when you have to spray, then that is what happens. Better, because you would also lose some if you have a pest. Okay, so now the only ones that I have to go through are corrections, like water level checking of water if we have enough. These are at the heater, under 24/7 humidity, trying to induce germinations of seedlings, and they need a little bit more water. Okay. The fact that this was so dehydrated, that so much water got lost, it really got lost because I noticed that one of those corners wasn't closed fully. That can happen so easily, and sometimes you have it all closed. You have it closed here, and here, and once you press here, it opens up on the other side again, and you don't notice. That happens. Okay, next one. Then again, with these here, I just want to look if they had the right water to allow germination. I have them at the heater, and that always kind of leads to soil drying out a little faster. This is a little too dry. It might look relatively wet, but I can see that below the top layer, it's too dry. You often lose that humidity in the top layer very fast because it sinks down, the water sinks down, and then the top layer where the seeds are is dry again, and it instantly ends the germination process. Okay, I put in a little bit of water here, and I will close it up again. Here also a little bit better, like humidity is a little bit better. Might still be enough to facilitate, to just induce germination, but a little bit water, because we will lose some later on when it's at the heater again. Might not be a bad idea. Okay, also closing it up again. All of these, they will go back to the heater, temperature maybe 30 degrees, just trying to have water, humidity in the closed container, and also the temperature that I want. These salad takeaway containers, you can buy them at the hundreds, at the thousands. They are all a little bit different. I have bought these years ago when I was still sowing out with them. Today, it's just a little bit too complicated, a little bit too much work intensive. So I changed to square pots. But on the channel, we still test it out, compare it. For now, I can't really tell you in the first 2 weeks if they are much worse. We will see that later when we compare the germination rate, like how many of them didn't come up, like not at all. In my opinion, they should perform similarly. The problems just start later on. You have problems. You have more problems with the light. They don't get as much light as they would get when you have them here. You have potted them up a little higher, and that alone means they will get more light in square pot. And so you have them in here, and at some point you will have to transplant them. At some point you have to move these into an actual pot with drainage holes. And yeah, it could be a waste of time. It's a little waste of time within the beginning, like in the first months, because you, at some point, they will outgrow this, and it might happen relatively fast because you do not have so much space downwards for root formation and that kind of stuff. Here you have 2 seedlings on the right. Nothing else. Unfortunate, but it's better than nothing. Oh, okay. So this has the label test on it. And this was from a hybrid cross that I made where observed poor germinations. In the first containers that I tested, they completely fell through. No germinations at all in them, but it was a cool plant that I really wanted to have seedlings from. And so I tested it again. Second time. And yeah, only 2 seedlings. That really means there's germination issues. Apart from that, at least I have some seedlings here. I'm happy to have these 2. I would love to have a few more. Maybe there will be more coming later on. I might keep it at the heater for 1 more day, but only 1 or 2. Really not much longer, because the seedlings are already there. And I'm actually happy about having them. I don't want to test my luck. At some point, it will be too hot for those seedlings at the heater. But the moment I take it away, I might actually stop the other seeds from germinating, because suddenly the high temperature is gone. Okay, so these here, this is a hybrid cross of mine, pink stripes. No, Arboricola, Sally, and pink stripes. Healthy seedlings, very small. On the first look, I would say these are Arboricola kind of seedlings. Having the Arboricola body, that is something that I feel I can see here. You just, every species, the seedling looks a little bit different. And these would fit with what I have seen from Arboricola. But who knows? I will give them a little time. Maybe if pink stripes comes through with just the color of pink stripes on Arboricola, that would be good. I would already be very pleased, would be a good cross. But these are 4 years away from flowering. And a lot of things can happen until then. Okay, so here, no germinations. I am disappointed in you. But it's okay. I know how it is to have those high expectations. So maybe we can fix that by adding in a little bit more water. Giving it a little bit more time. We'll also go to the heater again. Let me see what it is. Let's have a look at the label. There's none. Oh, nice. That it could be an empty container then. Like, thinking about this. So let's put this aside. I actually think we might have forgotten to sow out in that one. Okay, next one. 1 seedling. It's okay. This is from Vers 11. Multi-hybrid by Cactus Vers Macondo Cactus. Good breeder, and this is a good hybrid. I would love to have a bunch of plants from it. For now, only 1. And this doesn't strike me as genetically super healthy, as having that superb genetic health. Maybe the seeds were too old. The age, it's from 2024. In my opinion, that's actually a little bit too young to already show such a low germination rate, but it can happen. Okay. So this will also go to the heater again. I want to leave it there for a few more days. But since this one seedling's already there, I'm careful. Really not too long. Okay, so here, our watering method, our method to bring in more water has successfully brought us 2 seedlings here. Phase 12 also, same I said about phase 11 is true here. Hybrid by Cactain phase Macondo Cactus. And I made a lot of crosses with it. It's a good hybrid. I like phase 12 a little bit more than phase 11, but both have potential for me, as they are those plants that I'm working with, that I like working with, because they, you can cross them with Lobevia, you can cross them with a columnar cactus, you can sometimes even cross them with Echinopsis. That is a lot of different ways you can go. And that allows you to just be spontaneous. Use whatever is flowering at the time. And it's good to have these plants around. Okay, so this one here. Here are 2 seedlings. Up there, upper left. Apart from that, none. And these have also just come up. I believe that since we have corrected the humidity in this one, it might have brought us a few additional germinations. Watering a little bit more, but for now, I don't want to overwater. With these, there's very little room. They are rather unforgiving when it's about overwatering. The moment you have too much water in them, you have a swamp. And getting water out, good luck with that. I sometimes put in like a syringe and pulled out the water. But it's not easy because the dirt will instantly clog the syringe. So you have to clean it all the time. It's a dirty job. You can do it. You can get water out of these when you have too much in it. But it's really a pain. And when you're sowing out, you sometimes have the seeds submerged in all that water that you're trying to soak out. It's really easier not to overwater. So here I see one seedling there, tiny one there in center. Amun-Re. Amun-Re. Yeah, crossed with a Pseudo-Lobevia hybrid by Jürgen Theisinger. Genetically not so healthy. There's also a seedling that didn't make it, that just came up and shriveled again, shriveled away, gone with the wind. I tried to correct that a little. Maybe it has a chance, but it already looks shriveled, like I said. Sometimes you have little seedlings that come up upside down, and sometimes you can save them. But this doesn't look like that one. This looks like poor genetic health. We'll go to the heater again for another day or 2, but not more. Since that 1 week seedling that I saw there, you could instantly overheat that easily within a day. Okay, so this one here, Lobevia, phase 11. Lobevia, multi-hybrid, whatever. These are hybrid between a columnar and a Lobevia. And here's a little bit more seedlings. It's already pretty wet. Don't want to overdo it because that also can promote fungal infections when you have a waterlogged soil. Keeping it a little drier when you have the seedlings is usually safer. And this is already 4 seedlings. I think this can go to the plant lamp away from the heater. 4 seedlings is already, at that point, I feel like, okay, this is enough. The moment you take them away from the heater, the moment you can end germination, they just need that temperature but sometimes also you have a delayed response to germination, to the heat. You will first have the healthiest seedlings, and then slowly over the next couple of weeks, sometimes you get weaker ones that follow, and sometimes even those can grow healthy. Here, 2 seedlings. Yeah, not super healthy, but healthy enough. Also Arboricola pink stripes, and I've seen it. They are just very unique, very thin, very slender. And with this cross, 1 seedling could be enough. I'm really looking forward seeing what Arboricola, Sörensia Arboricola will do with pink stripes. And in this case, it is not Arboricola, but a hybrid between Arboricola and something else, and Scopolicola or Zelli. I think it was a Zelli hybrid. So it wasn't really 100% Arboricola, but already hybrid. Nothing here. Humidity is barely enough. Should actually, if the seeds are viable, it should already come up with that. I will put in a little bit more, and I'm very gracious with water here when it's about inducing germination, just because I have them at the heater very close. So, some of the water will disappear again. I'm checking them repeatedly, weekly, and that means we are very close to them. We rarely get into a situation where you lose a lot of seedlings at once because you missed it. Yeah, this one here, enough humidity. Soil looks good, and this will go into the to the heater again. So now I have a few more square pots that are also that I put under a LED lamp, and I wanted to show you something. By the way, let's talk about that LED for a minute. I'm not sure how much time I have left. Let me see. A little bit. So let's talk about the LED panel. I have a LED lamp, and it's full spectrum that I use to sometimes induce germination. So I put it above, like trying to give them light and a little bit of heat from above. And I also use that for seedlings that had root rot. Certain root problems, I often put them under that LED lamp, because the full spectrum light also works against all kinds of pathogens that can grow on a wound. So if you, at a bad time, have to cut the seedling, let's say in winter, let's say you have to cut that seedling because it had an infection, and you know that if you keep it at room temperature, you will not be able to save it. And that happens a lot, because with little seedlings, they are very susceptible to being in the wrong kind of climate. And once you have a fungal infection at a bad time, that can be it for the seedling. So that plant lamp, I accidentally realized that it can stop the infection on the skin within just a few days. Just because it's basically like you are putting, like you are doing radiation a little bit. You're putting a lot of light on the wound, a lot of sun, and that leads to the wounds callousing very fast. So I wanted to show you what I did here. These are two types of seedlings that both had to be cut. Both had a root infection coming from like being in a too humid soil. And in this case, I was able to end it within just a few days under a full spectrum LED lamp. You can see the wounds here, they are clean, and they haven't been very clean in the beginning. The plants had discolorations. They did not look good. But doing it like this, it's not without risk. Sometimes you have a plant that just doesn't have enough substance anymore. And once you put it under a lamp, who knows what will happen. But in most cases where I tried it out with seedlings or plants where I instantly had to get an infection to stop, the LED lamp worked. It worked. It ended the infection. I had times when I had the LED lamp in the greenhouse. I have, just put a top, like on top of a wound, when you have that infection in the greenhouse on a plant you really like. That is the type of stuff that I sometimes do, like the desperate attempt to save it. And very often it works. So just wanted to show you these. In this case, it definitely worked. Now the wounds are a little bit more calloused. They've calloused faster than if I had left them lying around. Sometimes when you have an infection indoors, it is hard to contain it, hard to get it to stop. And with this, you can stop it right away. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that. They are in pumice. So once I turn them around, they will not really have a lot of problems with root. Like they will first need to grow some roots again. And in this soil, in this kind of very fast draining soil, fast draining medium, there will be less problems with root rot. They are now in a better soil. Only thing I need to be careful when I adapt them to watering them again, because also the moment you cut seedlings, the moment you cut a plant, the clock is racing against you. The clock, you have a certain limited amount of time that the seedlings can survive without having roots. And if they don't get them back within a certain time, then it will not end well. So that is the one thing where I have to be careful about. You need to water them at some point, but you need to find the right point when watering them will not bring that root problem back. To make sure you could leave them under the lamp a month to just callus. But since they are already stressed, again, the clock is racing against you every time you make a cutting. That cutting has an expiration date by which it needs to have roots, or at least it needs to be able to take in nutrients in some form again. I use foliar feeding in fertilizer to kind of avoid that. They can still get they can still take in some fertilizer even without roots if you spray them. But generally speaking, the moment you're cutting, you're racing against the clock. The wound needs to callus as fast as possible, that you can start rooting, that you can start watering. So for now, these need to be very dry. But we have given them a chance. We have ended that infection that would have lingered on slowly. If we hadn't taken it off, they would have had no chance. And if I hadn't used the lamp, I think I would have lost one or two of them, just because it takes a while for seedlings to callus indoors without that classic sunlight. And that is what I'm trying to replicate with a lamp. Putting them under a plant lamp to end an infection can work very well. But yeah, needs to be full spectrum. Otherwise, you do not have that UV light that destroys the pathogens. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to show you that. So a few more bags and then I'm done here. But I'm already coming close to the end. I'm happy to take questions if you guys want to know something, want to ask, want to say something. I'm happy to take it now. If not, I'm going through the 4 remaining bags, and then I'm probably going offline. But yeah, always there if you want to know something. In this one, let's feel. Soil is wet. I can feel it, but no seedlings. This is Lobivia winteriana. Sometimes you just have unviable seeds, especially with Lobivia winteriana. Last season I had a few fruits that during the height of a heat wave. And those seedlings, like that, those fruits that I had, they were almost empty. Almost, some had a few seeds here and there, but they didn't develop fully. They were kind of actually failed pollinations, but due to the excessive heat, the plant did not manage to drop the fruit. And that can happen due to when plants are stressed out due to excessive heat. Sometimes they don't manage to drop off the ovum, drop off the remnant of the fruit, the flower, that thing that would usually grow into a fruit. And that could have been the fruit. Like the low viability in some of those half empty fruits, I saw a few seeds, but this is the type of germination rate that I would expect from them. In this one, too many seedlings in the corner. Hilde seedlings. Seeing 5 seedlings or 4 very close close to each other. I will put in a little bit more water just locally there where the seedlings are, to have that soil a little bit flexible. But apart from that, this looks okay. I don't like that I planted them so close in the corner. And it's Hilde, so genetic health might be reduced. We will see. For now, they look okay. They are tiny, but they are growing. This one here looks empty. Oh no, 1 seedling. I didn't even see it. What a small one here. This tiny blip. That's a seedling. Old seeds. I had discussed them. I found these seeds in a seed bag in a little basket somewhere and wanted to try them, but just 1 seedling came up. That is classic age-related germination problems. Sometimes seeds, the viability runs out. Okay, and this is the last one, I think. This one doesn't have any kind of seedling. Soil feels a little bit too dry. Not much, but a little. But I'm not seeing the seedlings coming up in this one. Echinopsis glauca crossed with Gräsers Erfolg, Selbstbestäubung, Encantora. I have seedlings from the same cross in another container. So I'm not sure what happened here. But the ones here didn't come up. And this is the second attempt, second cycle. Something should have come up by now. But it happens, you know. Sometimes you miss that window. And that leads you to just seeds losing viability. Okay. Yeah, I think this is great. So thank you guys for participating. Thank you for, being part of the beginning of this interesting stream. Everything's still really young. I'm only doing this for maybe 2.5 months. And I already love it. It's a fun way to do, like a fun way to be in contact with the community. It allows me to react to questions. This morning, someone sent me a huge email, sending me photos and questions about stuff, about seedlings. And it shows that I'm reaching people that way. And I like it. I really enjoy it. And I know that when we go out in spring, it will be even better. It will be a different kind of stream, but also interesting. Keeps it a little bit unpredictable that we're filming outside in summer and inside in winter. But maybe we can do this like for as long as I can, Thank you guys. Have a great weekend. Have a great remaining weekend. I'm looking forward to the rest of the day. Just not doing much apart from going out with Kami from time to time. And Mika comes again later too. She's spending some time with my wife. So yeah, just having a nice day today. Okay, I hope you guys have a great time. Take good care of yourselves, and I will be back tomorrow. Okay, thank you guys. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you for always making this such a nice thing. Okay, thank you.